Years ago, I was living with somebody who was very violent, and it is very frightening, and my life was in danger. That's not a dramatic thing to say. My life was literally in danger. And I remember very, very clearly a friend of mine. I knew him very well, but we never spent time together before in this way. But he invited me to the beach. And he took me to a place called Blue Anchor Bay, right? And it was such a lovely day. And I was on the way there, I was like very anxious. I was in a lot of pain in the car, and I was like scratchy and just not good company, right? Very, very vulnerable, very delicate, really, really, really at rock bottom, okay? And he could sense all of this. That's why he invited me out. So through the course of the day, I felt the level of stress reduce, you know. I was at the beach, I was far away from the danger. I was far away, and it really helped me. And I significantly remember, because I've been reminded of it recently, I remember getting back in the car to come home and feeling that real sense of dread again, you know, about returning back. And I remember that so clearly, right? And this is how I put the pieces together to be my own therapist, right? To become a master of myself. Because it's empowering when you know why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Okay, so basically, you know, the other day I went to the beach with Anthony. This video will go out after, so you'll know what I'm talking about because you would have seen some of the content from that trip. Right? It was a very similar feeling. On the way there, I was like a nightmare, not very good company. He was asking me about my life on the boat, and I was like, I don't want to talk about my life. Like, really, not good company. I was like, I'm really sorry, but I haven't slept. I hadn't slept in like 2 nights because I had these nightmares, right? And they kept me awake, and I was really scared in the night. And we had this beautiful day. It was such a lovely day. And again, I felt the stress leaving me, right? And then on the way back, I noticed that I had this similar sense of dread about returning back home to the boat when I got in his car to come home. But I'd felt safe all day, and feeling safe had let me just relax. It had allowed me the space to relax, right? So I started to think, okay, this is weird. This is very familiar. And I reflected on the time from my past when the same thing happened. And I put the pieces together, and I realised that the reason that I feel this sense of dread coming back here is because I don't feel safe again. Right? Like all those years ago, going back to live with this violent person that I was living with, I knew that I had to go back and face it. And the same again the other day. I knew that I was coming back and I didn't feel safe. So I started to think about this and the boat and everything, and I started to think, I know that I need to make the security on the boat better. Like, it's really, really priority. One of my priorities is to like get this place like Fort Knox. Is that how you say it? No, get this place really secure. More locks, just make it feel secure. But ahead of that, I knew that I had to cultivate a feeling of safety from the inside, because I just had this feeling that I can put all the locks on this boat under the sun, but if I don't feel safe inside, it's not going to change anything, you know. And I really believe, even if I was in a house with really, really good security, when you are under the spell of PTSD, you just don't feel safe. So I started to realise I started to realise, like literally the other day, yesterday, that it's PTSD that I'm struggling with, because I'm having these nightmares again. Nightmares about somebody getting into the boat and hurting me, right? And they wake me up and then that's it. I just can't go back to sleep. And it doesn't help when Lion is sitting on the bed and she'll be sat there and she'll just be like really chilled out, and then she'll suddenly go like looking down the hallway as if there's something there. And I'm like, Lion, will you please not do that? Anyway, it's funny really, I have to laugh. But I've had a few nights on the boat on my own, and it's really brought up all this fear. And I had to get curious about that. And that is the only way to become your own therapist. You have to get curious about your own brain, your own mind, how it's working, why, what it's doing to try and protect you. It's not random. If you are getting bouts of anxiety out of nowhere that is literally paralysing, it's coming from something, it's coming from somewhere, right? There's a reason for that. And I realised it today, literally like a couple of hours ago, which is why I have to talk to you, because every time something happens, good or bad, I feel like sharing it with you guys. I realised that, because I started thinking, okay, there's this similarity of not feeling safe, and it's PTSD and it's triggered blah blah blah, but I haven't been around somebody violent now. So what is it that's happened recently that would trigger such an extreme case, if you like, of PTSD to make me feel this bad? And I realised it was going into that fire. And not for the reasons that you might think. Because the nightmares that I'm having are all based around somebody being hunted down, basically. Someone finding me and getting into the boat, right? And that is directly related to when I was in the fire service and I was receiving the death threats that I've told you about before, anonymously written. That was going on for a long time, like a year and a half, many years ago again, right? Okay, it's not in my reality now, but my brain has put the two and two together, you see. So I went into that fire. If you're new to the channel, there was a fire in my hometown near my boat the other day, and I went in and tried to put it out. So, and I used to be a retained firefighter. Okay, so going into the fire, being around all the firefighters again, the officers talking to me, it was literally like old times. It was crazily nostalgic, you know. It was so nostalgic in a good way, because it reminded me of such a part of me that was so thriving as a firefighter, you know. I was so in my purpose and in my power, if you like. I was fit, I was healthy, I was strong, I was saving lives. And that's when I started to get these death threats, right? So the magic of this is that I have figured it out. I've figured out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling now. And it's crept up on me, and it's after the event. It doesn't always happen straight away. So I went into that fire, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was. And I had that feeling with the lads, like a bit of banter, like brotherhood, you know, they're like my brothers, the firemen, and like just seeing old faces that I haven't seen for years. And my brain has gone, oh, she's back in the fire service again. Oh, there's danger coming, right? How crazy is that? So that's what's triggered all of this fear that's just come over me out of nowhere. And I am so grateful that I figured it out, because like I said in the beginning, when you don't know where these things come from, you feel so powerless, you know, you feel so powerless. And when you figure it out, you can like kind of compartmentalize it, make it logical and go, oh, right, yes, I'm feeling like this because of this, but that's not truth. It's just a thought, it's not the truth. It's so subconscious anyway, what's going on. It's a body memory, you know. So then you can work with that when you know what's going on. So one of my things is to just keep repeating, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. And I will get round to doing the security, but that's not it. It's an inside job. It really is. And I just felt so strongly that I had to share this with you, because everybody's got something, right? And I think it's so important to become the master of yourself. And I'm not saying to take on everything and never get therapy and rely on yourself to get yourself out of these things, because when you're in that state of fear, you often can't see the wood for the trees, you know. But I'm just saying to start to be curious helps you to become your own therapist. And it's so kind of rewarding, you know, when you put these pieces of the puzzle together and you realise, okay, I can get through this. I got through PTSD before. I can look at this logically. I've tried to put out a fire. Now I'm feeling this way because my brain thinks I'm there again and there's danger coming. But that's not the case. So I'm fine. I can give myself a hug, maybe get out some essential oils, and I'll be okay. And maybe one of these nights I'll sleep for the night, which would be really good because Aaron's supposed to be coming to take photos tomorrow of me, and I look like death warmed up. You know, isn't it amazing, the brain? It's like the dopamine thing. Understanding why the phone addiction is so prevalent. And how, like, you know, we all want this dopamine fix, don't we? We all want dopamine, we need it. But how to do things the right way and not the unhealthy way. And I think for every unhealthy habit, there's a healthy habit that you can replace it with. So what is it for you that cycles round, that comes back around, that you don't quite know why that's there? Maybe it's low mood, maybe it's depression, maybe you've noticed you feel sad at certain times. I made another little connection today. So sometimes when I'm eating and enjoying food, I feel this sudden, overwhelming sadness. And I think it's connected to when I was making breakfast and my granddad died. And we got the phone call at the time that I was like eating, like something like that, like enjoying food. There's these things that you wouldn't even imagine would have an impact on you all these years later. But if you notice something repetitive in your life, or a recurring dream, or something unexplainable that you would like to overcome, just sit with yourself in silence. And maybe even say a prayer, maybe even ask for some guidance. But just sit and just be, and just look at the emotion that you're feeling. Maybe at the time that you're feeling it, or maybe afterwards when you're feeling a bit clearer in your mind, you know, when it's starting to dissipate. Just really ask yourself, where does this feel familiar from? And what is the earliest memory of this that I have? An essence of the feeling. So things can play out in different ways as well. So anger can be a flip side of fear. Like this fight or flight, isn't it? So it's not always easy to detect where these things stem from, but you must get curious with yourself. And it's not overthinking, okay? It's not, oh, you're overthinking that a bit. No, I'm not overthinking that a bit. I'm making sense of everything. I'm making sense of my life, and that is so golden, because for every bit of figuring it out I do now, the next time will be a bit easier. And the next time maybe I'll catch the PTSD a couple of days sooner, or even preempt it, not expect it and put yourself in that place, but go, that's right, I could be in danger here of going down the path of PTSD, because I know that has just reminded me of, you see, of that, and then I know that's just triggered a memory of something, so it's almost like prevention is better than cure. And you can start to become so conscious of patterns in your life or places. This is one of the reasons that I had to sell my house, because every room in the house was just full of memories of trauma and being scared and all of those things. Even looking out the kitchen window was connected to memories of pain. So it's just becoming so mindful of patterns and things in your life, and where to let things go, and where to move on, and where to have a change of scenery or start a new habit. Thank God it is recording. Start a new habit, do something different, to not trick the mind but shift it, nudge it into the unfamiliar, so you're starting again. You know, it's like rewrite the story. But then it can get covered up within the new story, so then you have to be even more aware of the depth of the trauma and how it can play out in such subtle ways, and you can catch it earlier and earlier each time, until one day it fades and you might just feel a slight fluttering in the tummy, and you'll go, that's that, okay, I am safe, I am safe. Breathe into the feeling, breathe into the fear, breathe into the pain. I am safe. No one's out to get me. It's all good in the hood. Sorry for a slightly more serious one. Just thought it would be worth noting. Right guys, I'm gonna say goodbye and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And who needs makeup when I have a hat? On a positive note, coming up we have the D5 diaries. Oh my life, guys. I'm so excited about this. It will be in the Lake District. So, don't miss it. It's coming soon.